Hello comic fans, welcome back to 13th Dimension Comics. This video is in response to Comic Collector Geeks Weekly Cover Challenge. This week's cover challenge is to find crossovers. Now this video is going to be all Spider-Man related crossovers. I'm going to do another video in a day or two with non-Spider-Man related crossovers that I'll be putting out, so keep an eye out for that one. As always, if you do want to know about that one when it is released, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button on this video, and go ahead and turn on your notifications. That way when I do release it, you'll be made aware as soon as possible. But let's go ahead and get into today's video. So the first one I have up was shown by Comic Collector Geek, but I'm going to go ahead and show it anyway. I just like this cover. And this is X-Men number 35, where Spider-Man shows up in the X-Men. This is a pretty good copy. It's a very good. It's not great. This is actually not Spider-Man. This is actually the Changeling who appears as Spider-Man, but since he appears as a hero, I go ahead and include it in my challenge this week. So that's X-Men number 35. On the other side of that, we actually have one of the X-Men showing up in Amazing Spider-Man, and this is Amazing Spider-Man 161, where Nightcrawler shows up. He's also in the next issue, 162, along with the Punisher. I believe the Punisher shows up at the end of this book, and then in the next book he's in it all the way. This is a fine copy here, so I would say this is maybe a, I don't know, 6.5 even. Somewhere around there maybe. But that's Amazing Spider-Man number 161. Nightcrawler shows up. Up next, we have another X-Men related Spider-Man crossover, and this is going to be Spider-Man versus Wolverine. This is a great issue. This is where they actually kill Ned Leeds, who was appearing as the Hobgoblin for a short time. He actually dies in this issue. Wolverine also kills his ex-lover. I believe her name was Charlemagne. I haven't read this in years. I believe that was her name. And he actually ends up killing her, and then Spider-Man, basically, you know, him and Spider-Man pretty much go at it. Spider-Man's trying to stop him from killing her. He kills her. Spider-Man doesn't like that too much and ends up beating the crap out of Wolverine, which, since Wolverine has the healing factor, it doesn't really do much good. Alright, so then the next one we have is Avenging Spider-Man number 9. This is the first appearance of Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel does a little crossover with Spider-Man and Avenging Spider-Man number 9 here. It's a pretty decent copy. I would put this as a probably 9.2, maybe even a 9.4. I don't think it's going to get a 9.8 or a 9.6, but it would probably get a 9.4 at least, 9.2. All right. Up next, we have one that's a little bit of an oddity. This is actually the Dallas Cowboys crossing over with Spider-Man. Don't know if you really want to consider this one as a legitimate entry, since the Dallas Cowboys don't really have their own comic book, not as far as I'm aware. I guess maybe in the 70s or 80s they may have, but if they did, I've never heard of it. But this was I believe this was put in with the newspaper, the Dallas Morning News, I believe. No, Dallas Times Herald. It says at the very top, the Dallas Times Herald. This was an insert with the Dallas Times Herald newspaper, which is actually out of business at this point in time. It went out of business in the 90s. I actually do have the very last issue of the Dallas Times Herald. Don't know where it is, but I do own it somewhere. It's probably worthless, but it was a nice little piece of history, so I went ahead and got it when it went out of business. That's the Dallas Cowboys meet Spider-Man. All right, up next we have Amazing Spider-Man number 16, where Daredevil shows up, as well as the Ringmaster of Crime, who actually appeared in a Captain America book. I couldn't tell you what issue it is, and he was actually the Ringmaster of Death, but he had a different, I believe he had a different first name in that, but it's pretty much the same character. He looked exactly the same for the most part, but they called him the Ringmaster of Death, and I believe his first name was slightly different than what they changed it to when he became the Ringmaster of Crime. That's the Daredevil crossover with Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man number 16. Alright, up next we have the other side of that spectrum, where Spider-Man actually shows up in Daredevil number 17. So this is where Spider-Man goes into Daredevil's title. This isn't a bad copy. This is probably, I don't know, I'd say this is probably going to be about a 4 maybe. There's a lot of spine wear, spine ticks. There's no spine splitting or anything like that, but it's still a great cover. I love Daredevil on there, and then you get the Spider-Man symbol on it. Alright, so up next we have a pretty good one. So this is Giant Size Spider-Man and Dracula #1. So I thought that was a pretty cool crossover where Spider-Man meets Dracula. Now this one's pretty decent. I don't like the fact that the little spine here doesn't have it on. It should be on the edge, because it is a square bound book basically. So this little white thing here, I believe, should be on the edge as opposed to the cover, but unfortunately on my copy it's not. It's on the cover. But I would like that cover. I thought it was a pretty neat cover with Dracula and Spider-Man on there. So this is a Giant Size Spider-Man and Dracula #1. Up next we have Spider-Man and Batman. Now this was just a one-shot, so it's not a #1 or anything like that. It's just the only issue there was, so I guess you could call it #1, but there was never a #2. So this is Spider-Man and Batman where they meet, and I believe it's Carnage and the Joker are the enemies. So Batman basically faces off against Carnage, and Spider-Man has to deal with the Joker. But this is Spider-Man and Batman. And on the other end of that spectrum, I suppose you could say the next comic, because the last one is where Spider-Man met with possibly the darkest DC superhero, and here he meets with what I would say is probably one of the most, I don't know, probably the lightest superhero, the most noble, or however you want to put it. And this is Spider-Man versus Superman. This one, I believe, was Lex Luthor and Dr. Octopus. And that's who the two of them ended up fighting against. Obviously, they fight at first, and then they end up teaming up and going up against the bad guys. And when I first saw this, I was always wondering, how is Spider-Man going to match up against Superman? And apparently they did something to Superman where he got weak for a short amount of time, and Spider-Man was able to hang with him, but then it wore off, and Spider-Man almost broke his hands punching Superman. So I thought that was a pretty good scene in there. Alright, so that's it. So those are the 10 for the weekly cover challenge this week. Like I said, these were all Spider-Man related, obviously. I'm going to do another video, which is going to be non-Spider-Man related crossovers. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming in a couple days or so. But as always, if you stayed till the end of the video, I do truly appreciate it. Do me another favor, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, go ahead and turn on the notifications so when I do release videos, I do at least one video every week. Right now I'm doing my Amazing Spider-Man Collection video series. I put those out every Wednesday. Usually put out 2 shorter videos, about between 5-7 minutes each. So not very long, just enough time for you to watch as I show you about 5 or 6 comic books. So try not to take up too much of your time. But yeah, if you turn on notifications, you'll be notified whenever those are released. As always, collect what you love. Do appreciate you staying till the end of this video. Later.